Mercury retrograde in Mesha Rashi, communications matter. Mercury is going to appear to move backward for you sky gazers out there. In astrology, there are some significations that would come in handy if you know them and have them in your pocket. Here is why. Mercury is the key signifactor of communications, both spoken words and email, agreements, contracts, automobiles, news, business, and the brains. Bud, which decides one's buddhi, is the planet that shows the intelligence and business acumen in a person's horoscope. Whatever field requires calculations, tact, smartness, and alertness comes within the domain of Mercury. Mercury goes retrograde 3 to 4 times a year due to its proximity to the Sun and its shorter orbit. It takes only as much as 88 days to complete its orbiting around the Sun as compared to the Earth's 365 days. Mercury being retrograde is alarming to many who know about the ramifications of a retrograde Mercury. But it is helpful to know it beforehand to contain the damages, if any. According to Vedic astrology, Mercury goes retrograde in Aries on the 21st of April 2023. In this world of hyperconnectivity, where businesses thrive on communications, the Mercury going berserk will definitely be a big hurdle to surmount. Communications have so much importance in interpersonal relationships as well. A slip of the tongue can bring long-standing aftermaths. The winged messenger of gods, according to Roman mythology, can cause troubles when we may expect it the least. Now let us see how it will affect each zodiac sign this time. Aries, Mesha Rashi. Mercury's going retrograde in the first house during this transit of Mercury in Aries. Mercury is the natural 3rd and 6th house lord for Aries. You should be careful about signing any contracts or agreements during this phase of retrograde Mercury. If you can put it off till the Mercury stops, going retro is the best idea. In this modern world, when you have to take decisions fast, you can get a valid second opinion if you are forced to decide to sign or not to sign before the offer flies off your table. You have to be extra careful about your communications as well. Whatever you say could be used against you and it could bring in litigations. You should take care to correct the most minor glitch in your vehicle as and when it shows, as it may create trouble. Let us say, when you are going to an important meeting or function, you cannot afford to be late to. Taurus, Rishabh Rashi. Mercury is going retrograde in your 12th house during this transit of Mercury in Aries. The natural lords of the 2nd and 5th houses is going retrograde in the 12th. You have to be extra careful about your spoken words. You may say things that you do not mean. You may want to appear smart and you could speak on and on, which may bring you significant losses. You should be careful while speaking to your children as well. If you are into any creative hobbies, you may feel a lack of creative spark. If you are a student and are writing exams, you may write the wrong hall ticket number or do calculations incorrectly in a reckless manner. Your lover, or you may say that you want to break up, without meaning it. So take such statements with a pinch of salt. Gemini, Mithuna Rashi. Mercury is going retrograde in your 11th house during this transit of Mercury in Aries. The lords of the 1st and 4th is going to be retrograde in the 11th. You may cry over some miscalculations which would have cost you some money. Your friend's health situation could force you to help him/her financially. You may speak to your friend in a manner that you will regret later. You may spend money on household items unnecessarily. You may feel restricted in getting your hopes fulfilled. You may spend money on your mother without giving it any thought. Cancer, Karka Rashi. During this transit of Mercury in Aries, the Mercury retrograde is happening in the 10th house for Cancer. The lord of the 12th and 3rd, Mercury, is going to affect you at your workplace. You should be careful about your workplace communications. You may do miscalculations that may cost a lot of money. Communication devices may falter. You should make sure that the recipient receives your email or documents, whichever secure means you opt for. You may also risk losing data during this retrograde Mercury. You should be careful while signing documents and contracts at the workplace. Try to put it off until the Mercury goes non-retrograde. Leo, Simha Rashi. The retrograde Mercury is going to be in your 9th house. Your natural lords of the 2nd and 11th, Mercury retrograde, is a time you have to be alert, especially regarding spoken words. You have to be careful while speaking to your friends. You have to make sure there is documentation following a verbal negotiation. Putting verbal agreements into words and cross-checking it will help. You should be careful in filling out any forms for your admission into any educational institution. You could misread the submission dates and lose opportunities. If you are planning to go abroad, then you may have some problems with the visa or paperwork. You have to bear this in mind and do things meticulously yourself. Virgo, Kanya Rashi. The retrograde Mercury transit in Aries is going to be in the 8th house for Virgo. The natural lords of the 1st and 10th, Mercury, can cause you nervous issues, especially nervous fatigue and anxiety. You may face communication problems at your workplace. There could be faulty communications, broken devices, and misinterpretation of data at the workplace. You may create controversies. You will feel like others are not understanding you right. You may experience aggressiveness in sexuality, which may get you into trouble. Libra, Tula Rashi. This transit of retrograde Mercury in Aries is going to bring the natural lords of the 12th and 9th to the 7th house for Libra. You may create problems in your marriage as a result of not giving it a serious thought. You may stand against your spouse's wish to go abroad. You may want to apply for higher learning, which you may have difficulties in achieving. You may lack concentration and may get distracted fast. Your spouse may need medical attention and the right diagnosis of disease. Scorpio, Vrishchik Rashi. This transit of retrograde Mercury in Aries is going to be in the 6th house for Scorpio. The natural lords of the 8th and 11th is going to bring you some enemies due to communications or the lack of it. You could get interested in occult sciences but will be attracted to quacks who use it for extorting money out of the clients. You should sign documents after due forethought and consideration. It would help if you are taking the help of professionals who are experts in particular fields. You should try to delay getting into any litigations during the Mercury retrograde as it may become a headache later on. You will feel compelled to fight your stance, but you may have to check the facts in a neutral way and with caution before jumping into the legal whirlpool. Sagittarius, Dhanus Rashi. This transit of Mercury in Aries is going to be in the 5th house for Sagittarius. You may say things to your lover, which may be misinterpreted. The natural lords of the 7th and 10th, Mercury, is going to bring you some relationship troubles. You may propose to your lover but get a response you did not expect. Make sure you do not propose during this time, for God's sake. You may say things wrong or your lover may say things that they do not mean. Mercury will be a little mischief maker this time of the year. So do not take things at the face value. If your lover screams that he or she wants to break up, do not take it verbally. Do not get into business partnerships during this time. Make sure you have your documents and contracts cross-checked many times, in case you have to make an urgent move. Automobile business, sales, marketing, and media, these fields may face faulty communications, misinterpreted clauses in contracts, broken communication devices, crashing of computers, no networks, etc., more often during this Mercury retrograde. Things or documents may face delays in transit. You will feel that work is affecting your personal life. Students will be highly distracted and not alert. Capricorn, Makar Rashi. The lords of the 6th and 9th is going to transit your 4th house during this time. There could be problems with your vehicles, which has to be checked in order to avoid hefty eventualities. You should make sure you do not jump into litigations during this time. You could face problems with your real estate or house during this time. Builders may not hand over the property even after the transaction has been completed. You may face communication issues with your mother, which may cause a slight rift between you both. Aquarius, Kumbh Rashi. The lords of the 5th and 8th is going to transit the 3rd house during this transit of Mercury in Aries. You may say things that may irk your lover and cause a breakup situation. You may have to be careful with your messages as well. You could land up in scandals due to your communications. You may be interested in the wrong side of the occult and be misguided. Your creativity may suffer. Your studies will take a back seat if you are a student, as it will be very difficult for you to maintain focus and alertness. You may have difficult times with your kids as well. Pisces, Mean Rashi. The lords of the 4th and 7th houses is transiting the 2nd house during this retrograde Mercury transit in Aries. You may have to be careful in your documentation regarding the purchase of a house, property, or vehicles. There could be hidden terms and conditions. You should enter into partnerships wisely. You should be careful in your communications with your spouse in order to avoid confusion and fights. Your communication devices may go faulty at times, creating suspicions in your spouse. Your peace of mind will be affected regretting about things you did not mean to say. Remedies. Retrograde Mercury can be remedied by being cautious. Make sure that you attend to minute details in documents and contracts to avoid confusion. Think before speaking. Do not take anything or anyone lightly. Try to put off any major talks, negotiations, or document signing until the retrograde of Mercury is over. If you cannot, try to get expert opinions and march ahead. The remedies for Mercury include reading religious texts, fasting on Wednesdays, and visiting Lord Sri Krishna temple on Wednesdays. You could also donate green-colored clothes, fruits, vegetables, or books, and stationery items to the needy. You can give sweets to small children to propitiate Mercury. Treating members of the third gender with respect is a must for a positive Mercury. Mercury retrograde sure will pass. But we should not let our guards down in order to enable a strong Mercury that can play tunes on our communication trajectory and lead us to better lives, because we live in the age of communications. Communications matter.